Well, why don't you just kind of talk about what you're looking for in preseason camp? Obviously, the defense finished strong last year. We talked about that. You had a spring camp to try to put some things in, and we've heard good things from Coach Nee about what they saw out of the defense. What's August training camp all about for defense?
Yeah, well, it's all about getting our kind of our both defenses in. We're defending our offense. Obviously, we play Air Force early on, so we're getting our option stuff in, along with our base defense, which we didn't get the chance to dive into as much in the spring. Always try to incorporate some of our base stuff into defending the option, just to get it run, but also just getting better. Um, and finding out we got a lot of young guys in the program, and some areas on defense where we got to find some good quality depth. And so getting our defense installed, getting better at the basics, the fundamentals, um, and trying to find out where we're at depth wise. A lot of these positions, solidifying some spots as well.
So it seems coming out of spring, you have a lot of positions which are pretty much locked down. I mean, Biscuit at nose guard, probably Jarius Warren at one of the end spots. Tackle, I guess you got him playing. Or no, do you have him at end?
He's a tackle.
Oh, tackle. And then, Fago in the middle, Straw on the at Raider,
Yeah.
Brennan and West in the back. So what positions are open here in August?
Well, they're all open. We're competing every day. The good thing about us right now, and I said this after spring, is that Biscuit's the starter at nose right now, but we've got Clay Cromwell backing him up, who's a 300-pound, really athletic wrecking ball in there, who I'm really excited about. He's at a really good fall camp. So we've got two solid guys there at nose right now. CO has been injured, he hadn't been in there yet, but we expect to get him back soon. So you've got a little bit of depth there. You look at Jay Warren at tackle, and DeAndre Williams backs him up, who's played a lot of snaps for us. So really solid in the two deep there. So, behind him, we're trying to find a solidified third spot. At the end, you got a couple of young guys that we feel really good about. Usyk just keeps getting better and better, really fired up about him. This is the first time, since I've been here at linebacker that, we've got some solid depth there. And we're still trying to figure out who the starter is at will linebacker. So that's kind of some things we're trying to figure out right now. And in the back end, we got two starters back at both safety spots, all three safety spots, including John Marshall. But there's some guys back behind those guys that are, fighting for that backup spot. And so it's there's a lot of competition right now. And a lot of those young guys are getting a ton of reps and getting evaluated every day. And at corner, same thing. We've got two of our starters back. We're behind them. We're trying to get it figured out right now. And so it's good. We're getting a lot of reps. We're having really fast-paced physical practices. And I think, at this point, we're light years ahead of where we were in game week going into the first game last year. So I'm pleased with where we're at. I love the demeanor of this unit. I think we got a lot of unselfish guys that play extremely hard. We're doing a few, we got a few wrinkles in this year, what we're doing defensively. So put some of that stuff in, working through the kinks of it. And but I'm excited about where we're at. We got a long way to go. We're only, and this is day 5 coming up. But we got a ton of stuff in. It's hard, especially for the young guys this early when you're putting in the option stuff and you're putting in your base defensive stuff. But I feel good about where we're at. And but we got a long way to go before September 4th, obviously. But I'm encouraged, really encouraged by what I see in camp so far. I think we've got a veteran group on the defense side of the football. Guys that played a lot of snaps, guys that have been in the system for a long time, guys that understand what's going on around them. Like I said earlier, we got a bunch of unselfish guys that play really, really hard. And so that's going to give us a shot for sure.
So with regard to that will linebacker spot, I think I saw Harbor running with the ones yesterday, but I know Tama Tuatelli and Johnny Hodges are also in the mix. How's that shaking out so far?
Yeah, so all those guys have played little Mike too. So Thomas playing some Mike right now. Harbor's playing some Will. Hodges is playing some Will. So all 4 of those guys are good football players, and they're all going to play for us. And so we're getting them reps at both spots. Diego's the exception. He's exclusively playing Mike for us. But we're still trying to get it all figured out, and to make it through a season and stay healthy at linebacker all year is probably unrealistic. So it's good to have, 4 guys and maybe a 5th guy too that we feel really good about.
I could have sworn I saw a business Sambo running with the ones at I don't know if boundary corner or the other, but I thought he was 3rd on the depth chart behind Jamal Glenn and Caleb Clear.
Yeah. Well, during camp, we'll experiment a little bit. We'll move guys around and let some guys, maybe a 2, get some reps with the first group, see how they function out there. We're a little banged up at corner right now. Nothing serious. Should be getting some guys back, but we've also had some issues there health-wise with some guys that have not practiced a couple of days. So that's why you see those guys kind of rotate in and out. But Sambo's had a really good camp. He had a really good summer. He's really developed his body, and he's been one of those guys it's been a pleasant surprise in camp so far.
All right, I'll give someone else a shot.
Randy Cross.
Hey, Coach. Inside that, your predilection or your tendency towards chaos and disruption, having a guy like Biscuit at nose tackle, is that just sort of another little tool on the belt to have a guy that can use that kind of quickness and elusiveness inside, hard to block?
Yeah, I've always said, everybody wants a 300-pound, tree stump of a nose guard, and those are good to have. But also, I like a guy like Biscuit. He's a little bit undersized, but plays at great pad level, plays at great leverage, really quick off the football, and he's really good at the movement stuff that we do. And so, he gives our guys some fits up front, and he'll do the same versus other people as well. But having him and then Clay Cromwell in there, who's a 300-pound guy who's also really athletic, really raw, learning how to play the position. Well, those are 2 really good football players in there at nose, and you got to have a good nose in the system. So I'm excited about both those guys. But they're 2 different body types, but they're both capable of causing some chaos in the middle and being disruptive. And so I've been really pleased with those 2.
Having said that, will we ever see both those guys on the field at the same time?
Yeah, potentially. I think Clay's a guy that, if we got into a bind or something, could play defensive tackle for us.
Yeah.
Play the 4-eye technique. He's athletic enough to do that. So, yes.
Cool. Safety-wise, everything seems to be pretty solid for you there. Is there a key to how those guys come up with more turnovers, come up with more picks? Is that a product of pressure?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, of course, if you knew that answer, you'd probably be. Yeah.
Sure. I don't want to talk a whole lot about last year. We've kind of moved on from that. I know that's been a big topic. Everyone wants to talk about that, but last year we weren't able to get people in 3rd and long situations a lot like we did the year before. And so, we were looking at one of the pressures we put in today. We pulled up the cutouts of it last year. We ran it 3 times. Typical years, I run that certain pressure, at least a dozen times, maybe 15 times in a year. And we just didn't have that many opportunities to get people in that position where we could kind of try to confuse the quarterback and pressure different ways and do some of those things. And so it's it all starts with stopping the run, Randy, and being disruptive in the early downs, which we weren't good at last year. And you look at the havoc rating from 19 compared to the 20 season, and it wasn't even close. And so that obviously correlates to what kind of situations you get yourself in on 3rd down. We were in a lot of 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5s last year. And so those 3rd and 5 downs, it's are you in dime? Are you in base? There's just didn't allow for a lot of opportunities to make those kind of plays in those situations. Is where most of those kind of plays come from. So hopefully, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you guys kind of enjoy this time of the year when it comes to going against your own offense? I mean, it's great work because you've got Air Force so early.
Yeah.
But it seems they almost can't look for. They look forward to seeing you guys in practice because they know you're going to make them a lot better.
Yeah, and they make us better too. There's certainly some pros and cons to going against the option in practice. The pros being, they come off the football. You got to be physical. You have to play with a great eye discipline. You have to be responsible. You have to play assignment football, all those things. And on the flip side of that is we don't get to do a lot of our 3rd down stuff. We're not nickel against our offense unless we're in some kind of situational deal in practice. We're working on 3rd and long or something like that. So Yeah, it makes us better too. And we always try to incorporate, I made several calls yesterday that I would never call against an option football team, but I need to call them to get it run and get it on film and get it rep full speed. And so that's been good. And, they do a great job of, we go into Skelly and they'll service us and they'll run routes that we draw up for us to get, and they'll run full speed with good people. And so it's give and take there, and there's pros and cons to it. But I've enjoyed just the competition and going good on good. Our guys thrive on that. And but I try to carry as much of our base stuff into defending the option as we can and be reasonably sound, doing it.
Yeah. How do you guys approach when you sort of move into opening game mode, game planning wise? I mean, do you do much Marshall stuff before the week before, or do you like to sprinkle it in as you go?
Sure. We've started to dive into them a little bit, and we do some self-service stuff. Still working on some Marshall. When we go Skelly, and our offense is, it's 5 minutes of just running Marshall type routes. And but we'll try and start transitioning into the Marshall game plan a little more so next week.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Chick.
Coach, how different is the install this year as opposed to last, even with the young guys, when you can actually put hands on them and see them eye to eye versus a Zoom call like this?
Yeah, it's a lot different. Last year we didn't have spring football, and so there was no time to implement really an experiment with anything new. And so it was like you were out of football for a long time. So everything was kind of fresh and new. Didn't go live. And so there's some things that you really couldn't do other than just do them on barrels. And so the installation for that reason is a lot further ahead than it was, at this point last year. We were meeting in person. The meetings are more productive than they were, on a Zoom call, for example, some of those kind of things. So it's just entirely different. Hard to really compare, but we're much further along at this point than we were last year. And we've got a lot of guys back that have played some ball, right, and played meaningful snaps for us. They know the system a little bit, so you're able to progress a little faster than we were at this point last year.
I don't know if you have conversations with coaches across the country, but it's third year now as a DC at the Naval Academy. Do you get the question of what is an academy athlete like to coach versus the other schools?
Yeah, I think people kind of know that. They know how we recruit. They know the academic standards here at the Naval Academy, and they know the guys that are willing to come here are, I like to say, cut from a little different cloth. A guy that comes here that's willing to do the things they have to do, willing to serve his country, is just different. And I think we have exceptional young men here. I think everybody in the country knows that.
So you've coached both types of athletes. What is the difference? Is there a difference when I guess in coaching them? Yeah.
I know that, there's great kids everywhere. I think some of the culture stuff here is built in from what they have to do here at the academy. We got tough kids, they go through a lot. You don't necessarily have to, and we still build that here, obviously. I think the other side of that thing too is that we've got a lot of really smart players. Academically, like I said earlier, it's tough to get into school here. So you're dealing with some really bright kids. And so sometimes that allows you to do a little bit more. Schematically allows you to put a little bit more on their plate once you get in the game as far as checks and things like that. So there's great kids everywhere. Don't get me wrong. We got more of them.
Thanks.
Phil Bergman.
Coach, are there any new guys or up and comers that have really impressed you so far this first week of camp?
Yeah, there's a bunch. I hate to start getting into names with that, Phil, because I always forget to mention somebody. But it's a really, really talented freshman class. The challenge for us is always they're coming out of plebe summer, so we get our eyes on them a little bit during the summertime, but we get very, very limited amount of time with them. And so obviously our numbers are we're 175 or so on our roster. So to get those guys meaningful reps in practice is sometimes difficult, but we were able to identify guys going through Indy, to see them move around a little bit, going through our different circuits that we do on defense. And then obviously special teams is a great tool to use to evaluate those guys going through those drills. And so we've already identified some guys at certain positions that we think may be able to help us. And so we got to fast track those individuals. But athletically, there's a lot of guys that could help us. It's whether or not they can learn quickly enough to where we can actually put them on the field and trust that they know what they're doing. So that's the biggest piece, is how quickly can those guys digest all of this, and how quickly are they able to go out and play fast and know what they're doing. That's the biggest key.
I wanted to learn a little bit more about Colin O'Connor. Both Mitch West and John Marshall both mentioned him by name this past week as a guy that's looking good at his position.
Yeah. He's had a really good spring. You know, he's a little bit bigger, longer safety than a Mitch or a Kevin. Can run, is smart. He's still learning the system, but really encouraged how well he did and progressed in the spring, and he's having a good camp so far. Right now, he's our backup at Bandit. We moved to Johnny Gillis, you know, from striker back there to free safety, and that's been a really good transition for him. Been really pleased with some things that he's done back there at free as well.
And last for me, you have a new member of your staff, Joe Caniglio, and then RB Green's now also coaching on the field. Just how have the two of them adjusted to these roles and your defensive scheme?
Great. It's not much of an adjustment for Coach Green. You know, he played corner here. He's coached corner. Fired up to move him into that role. He's doing an outstanding job. And then, you know, Coach Caniglio and I worked together at Northern Michigan. So we had a prior relationship there, and thought the world of him as a young coach back then. And to have the opportunity to bring him on board, I think he's a phenomenal football coach. He's already making an impact in our room, making an impact on special teams and in recruiting. So I'm really excited to have him on the staff.
Thank you.
Wags.
Well, sticking with Caniglio a little bit, I mean, kind of how did he end up here? I mean, it was, to me, a name out of the blue. Just how did you all identify him as the guy that you wanted on this staff?
Well, like I mentioned just a second ago, I had a prior relationship with Joe. I've seen him coach on the grass. We worked together at Northern Michigan. I hired him there to coach the defensive line. You know, I followed him throughout his career since then. He's been a special teams coordinator. He's coached several positions on the defensive line, been a recruiting coordinator, been around the block, was a really good football player, Miami of Ohio. I thought he was an exceptional coach back then as a young coach, extremely high work ethic, really intelligent. Just adds a lot to the room from a game planning standpoint. And so, like I said, he's a guy that I know and I trust, and I've worked with him before. And so that's how that came about.
What do you got him doing as far as, is he working with any specific position group?
Yeah, he's working with me and working with the safeties. Works with our Raiders a little bit as well. Heavily involved in special teams. Heavily involved in the quality control piece on the defense side of the football.
So obviously, you got a lot of experience. You expect to be good, but you're going to have to be good, because I guess you've looked at the schedule. There ain't no breathers on this one. What can you talk about the challenge facing Navy? I mean, you're going to be, from the word jump, you're facing powerful offenses week in, week out. I mean, you're going to have to be real good on defense to give the team a chance to win. Yeah,
no question. Our guys understand that, and they know this is a tough league. It has been since I've been here. It's actually probably gotten better since I got here. But we're excited about the challenge. You're right. Every week's going to be a tough game. There's certainly no gimmies on the schedule, and our guys know how important everything is. You know, everything matters for us on defense. I mean, we can't afford to give anybody gifts. Our guys know that. So you're never going to play perfect, but we've got to play together. We've got to play harder than everybody else does to give ourselves a chance, obviously. But we're excited about the challenge. Our players are really excited. And I think they wouldn't want to play in any other league. You know, we want to play good competition every week. And I think we can compete with everybody on our schedule.
Obviously, last year was a great learning experience for you. You were thrust into a more prominent role, a starting role, and I think you improved dramatically as the season went along. Can you kind of just talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I think there was a learning curve. Obviously, I had never had any meaningful snaps. But towards the end of the season, I felt like I really started to get the hang of things. And with spring ball and camp this year, I feel like I'm like really on my stuff this year. So I feel a lot better going into this year than last year for sure.
Am I correct that the SMU game was your first start?
So it was Temple because Kevin had gotten kicked out from Air Force. So, yeah.
Okay. But it was, I can't think, SMU is kind of after the injury to Evan, and they made a switch, and you had to enter the lineup in replace of him. And, you know, that from that game to Army was a dramatic difference. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Just like being in a game atmosphere and you know, like learning from my mistakes that I had made that you can't really like make in practice. You kind of got to make them in a game to really learn from them. And so I felt like I learned from my mistakes and I was able to really take the next step. So
I think after Evan got hurt, Kevin moved to his safety spot and you filled what Kevin had been playing. Can you kind of tell us a little how those two, I think Coach Newberry refers to one of them as high safety. Can you talk about how those two positions are different and how much cross training is there? I mean, if you had to suddenly switch and play the other, would it be no problem?
Yeah, so it's free and bandit. So Kevin was the bandit, and then Evan got hurt. They switched him over to free, and then I was the bandit. Because bandit plays in the boundary, so the weak side of the field, and so the free has to work a lot of the times has to work with like a lot more space. And like you know, in the safety meetings, we there's the free and bandit there, so you kind of learn both. But so if you know what the bandit's doing, you kind of know what the free's doing. It's kind of like one of those deals. And Kevin had been in the system for so long, he could, you know, with a little bit of practice with the spacing and stuff, he could kind of switch over, and he already had known what the free was doing to begin with. So pretty much if you know bandit, you like pretty much know a lot about the free safety too.
Is either one of them most responsible for making calls?
So the free will set the strength, but other than that, we both make some calls depending on, you know, formations and stuff. But other than that,
and last for me, I mean, obviously, you and Kevin kind of have a lock on these starting spots, but is there still competition? Are there guys behind you pushing you guys, challenging you guys?
oh yeah, there's a lot of great safeties that are coming up, and the guy behind me, Colin O'Connor, is a really good safety, and he's gonna be great here. He's pushing me. We're making each other better for sure. And then Johnny Gillis is a really good safety too, and they're doing really well. And seeing those guys perform makes me and Kevin want to, you know, perform well too. So there's some good safeties in the room. We have a great safety room this year.
Randy Cross.
All right. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it, Mitch.
Yeah, no problem.
Got in this style of defense, how overwhelming can Coach Newberry's system be at first, when you just sort of at first blush you open that thing up and you go, what's he doing?
Yeah, I had a really hard time learning it when I was young, and I kind of just started getting the hang of it this year, or this past year. Yeah, it's like a lot of little stuff, and if you get behind on the menial stuff in the beginning, like the really easy stuff, then you're not going to get the later stuff that he's going to put in. So like I had to kind of like retrace, and like when everybody else was ahead of me in the playbook, I had to relearn the old stuff. And so pretty much like you just gotta watch film, listen to coach, make mistakes. You learn from the mistakes. But yeah, it's tough, and something that I had to deal with for a long time is getting plays down, earning his trust. So
as a guy on the other side of the ball, how do you look at the offense this year and kind of how it's looking? Because you guys give them some of the sternest tests, it seems, that they could ask for. So you've got a unique position and perspective on this.
You're talking about like our offense, or just like
yeah,
yeah. I mean, like I think like defensively, like with the triple option especially, you know, we're giving them really good look, and there's a lot of moving parts that other teams aren't gonna be able to do because they're not like spending all their time working on triple option stuff. So I think iron sharpens iron in this situation. I think we're really making them better. If that's like, you know, kind of kicking their ass sometimes, if it has to happen, you know. So but yeah, I think we're making them look, I think we're getting them ready for the season for sure.
Yeah, I mean, having been in some of those situations, coaches at times have to almost be careful, don't they? Because if you get a defense that's dominant, you don't always want them to just be knocking the crap out of your offense.
Yeah.
You know, they've got to get confidence somehow, don't they?
Yeah, and there is some confidence. They've made some great plays and stuff, and they're looking really good. But you know, just like us, like they're not going to play a defense like us, so it's like good for them to learn off of us. And when they see that defense that doesn't stem and do all this stuff, then they'll make better plays and make a lot more plays too.
From your perspective, and this is going against your guys, and obviously it's early in practice. Who do you enjoy kind of John the most with?
I'm not a big like jar, I'd say.
But they probably are.
Yeah. I'd say like just like my friends, like Chance or like Tiger, Goslin. Like we like throw jabs at each other, but it's all pretty friendly, So yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Yep.
Check. Hernandez.
Mitch, the way that the defense ended last year, you started to come on. So what feeling do you have as you enter a senior season in that defense?
I think just like building off the momentum we had at the end of the season. And I think, we kind of we all bought in for the last couple of weeks, and I think we're all still bought in, and we've had all this time to really polish up on our techniques and stuff. So I'm really excited for the season, for the defense and everything. So I think we can only go up from here.
How different is, I mean, the entire country went through it, and certainly athletic teams went through it. You guys went through it. How different was this preparation? Is this preparation for this season as opposed to last?
Oh yeah, I mean it's like night and day, honestly. Like last fall camp, we didn't even hit each other, and we were like we weren't really in person at all. So we've been in person doing meetings and lifting, which we didn't do. It's just like totally different, and it's like it's definitely gearing us more for game one, and we'll be way more ready to go. So.
And I know it's the Naval Academy. There's a lot of seriousness, but who's the comedian on the squad?
Scott, do you know?
That's a hard one.
I'd say Kevin Brandon's a pretty funny guy. You ever talk to him? He's a funny dude. I'd say Kevin, maybe.
I have stumped the Naval Academy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phil Bergman.
Nothing for me. Thank you.
I'll make another trip around. Wags.
Well, obviously, hold on. Let me get my video back on. You can see me. The defense returns, I think, 8 or 9 starters. A lot of guys that have played. I think fans are expecting you to pick up where you left off at the end of last season when you were playing so well. Is that a reasonable expectation?
Yeah, definitely reasonable. I'd expect that too. So, yeah.
Is there any specific areas of your game that you want to improve, that you feel you need to put something else out there this season?
I think, just like having confidence in the playbook and like know what I'm doing. I think, as a safety, you have to know all these moving parts. And if you're a little bit weary about something, then you're gonna like lose some confidence, and you'll hesitate, and you're not you don't want to hesitate when you're playing safety, because you'll let someone go by you. So just confidence. And I think like some technique stuff I can work on. We could always improve. So yeah.
I saw Isaac Ruas take a run to the house the other day. Where were you?
Oh, I was on the sideline for that. That was a good run.
Oh, good answer. He was running down your alley.
Randy Cross. You're muted.
I'm muted. Yeah, not anymore. When was the last time? Not the last time. What's your favorite touchdown you've scored? All time, scored? Ever? Yeah.
I haven't scored a touchdown since high school, but that's a good question. I'd say it was the touchdown that I almost scored. in the state championship game, I got to like the 1 yard line, and they said I didn't score, but that would have been my favorite.
So obviously you guys are going to have a lot of emphasis on turnovers
Yeah.
this year, especially with the style of offenses that you're facing.
Mhm.
Ripping the ball out. I mean, is that just everything?
Yeah, and that's something we emphasize in practice. Punching at the ball, turnover circuits. Just being like gritty, hustle, effort, attitude, toughness type dude. So yeah, I mean, just like hustling the ball will get us turnovers.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jake Hernandez.
It's year 4, your senior year. What do you want out of this season? And what does, it is the age-old question for anybody else who does not play at a military academy is, what is that like? So what is it like to play for the Naval Academy? What does it mean to you?
That's a good question. It means a lot to me. I think like I'm really proud of being able to finish something that's like pretty difficult, and I'm proud to like be able to like wear this jersey and like all my best friends are on the team. People that I respect tremendously are my coaches, and it's just like it's kind of like the last hurrah for my football career, and obviously I want to make it special. So and I think it will be special, and I have special guys around me everywhere. So I'm really excited, and I can't wait. So
Thank you.
I've been thinking about your question. I'm going with Kip Franklin as the funniest guy.
that's
Okay.
a good one too.
All right.
Phil Bergman.
Yeah, Mitch, we see Coach Newberry as a D coordinator. What's he like as a position coach?
He's a really smart coach that I respect tremendously. And he's all about details and like seeing the little things. And very technique oriented, mastering the mundane with our like DB drills and everything. But yeah, I've learned so much from him about the position and about just football in general. He's just a great coach, and I've really learned so much, and I can't underestimate how much I've learned from the guy. So he's a really good coach, both position and D coordinator.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone have anything else for Mitch before we let him go?
Yeah, one more. What's your future after football, Mitch? What's your track?
I want to go Marine Corps ground, but I guess we'll see in November. That's the game plan.